On today's show, playoff Jimmy Butler is back. He carries the Warriors. Draymond Green, some great plays and just an insane basketball game in that one. And then 1, 2, 3, Miami Beach. The Heat are gone. We'll talk about that and more today's Locked On NBA Game Night.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
Bomb, 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 and welcome. You are Locked On NBA Game Night. My name is Nick Angstadt, host of the Locked On Mavericks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being an everyday or making Locked On NBA your first listen. This episode is brought to you by Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Turn on any TV and make it an Xbox. No console needed. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to learn more. And joining me as always on a Monday night from Locked On Bucks, what you got for me, Camille Davis?
Ooh, man, that Rockets Warriors game was everything I was hoping for and more, which we needed after how the evening started with the Cavaliers and the Heat. But we'll talk about them later.
You wanted it to be Monday Night Raw? Is that what you wanted it to be? Because that's what it ended up being at some point.
Now, you know I've been a proponent of Locked On Pro Wrestling at some point. So yes, I'm here for the playoff basketball. I'm here for it.
Every 6 weeks, it turns into we should do Locked On WWE. We should do Locked On Wrestling. And all the hosts get in on it.
I'm one of them.
Oh man, for sure. We'll get into that game. We'll also talk about the Heat. Was it the greatest give up of all time in the NBA? There's some stats that say that it may be the greatest. We're done. 1, 2, 3 Cancun in NBA history. We'll talk about Damian Lillard. We've got the Locked On Bucks host on. We might as well. We got to talk about Damian Lillard and the Bucks and that whole situation. So we'll get into that. But let's start here, Camille Davis, with the Warriors, man. This era of Warriors basketball, it just doesn't go away. And let's hear from Chuck Walter of Locked On Warriors about this game.
Playoff Jimmy is real, and the defensive masterclass from Draymond Green is back. Jimmy Butler fouled by Dillon Brooks with about a minute left in the game, knocks down all 3 of the free throws. That proved to be the deciding points that won the Warriors the game. However, the Rockets had the ball with seconds to go. They elect to go with Alperen Sengun. It was either going to be him or Fred VanVleet going for the final shot. Sengun led the way with 31. VanVleet had 25. And it was Draymond Green who had 5 fouls early in the third quarter and had to sit for much of this game due to flagrants and due to technicals and just fouls in general. It's Draymond Green standing his ground and stopping Alperen Sengun on a tough 7-foot bucket. It's Jimmy Butler who snatches the rebound, knocks down the free throws, and that is all she wrote.
Draymond Green coming up with the big stop at the end. He gets his 5th foul with 8 minutes left in the third quarter and sat for a lot there. It felt like seeing a vintage Draymond Green at points because, and I posted this, Draymond Green is like a dinosaur in today's NBA. He doesn't shoot the 3 well, even though he started this game with 2 made threes, which is just a wild occurrence. Shoots like he has a backpack on.
Yep.
And he doesn't create his own shot or do that. And but he still finds a way to, and he's not big, but he plays center all the time. He plays center all the time. He finds a way to still be effective. What did you see from Draymond Green in this one?
I mean, a little bit of everything. The first 2 threes that he made were the only field goals he made in the entire game.
I just realized that.
He made his first 2 threes back to back, and I was like, man, Draymond's in a rhythm. No more shots made. But the impact that he was able to make in this game was with his defense, with his rebounding, and just overall with his basketball IQ. I mean, when you really saw Sengun starting to cook in the second half, it was during that pretty much a quarter of time when Draymond had to be on the bench sitting there. And once he gets back into the game, he makes it very difficult for whoever he's guarding. So to see what Draymond's able to do at his age at this point, plus the size that he is, this is a really small Warriors team with some of the lineups they throw out there. And the Rockets can be a really big team. And the Warriors still had more answers on defense than what the Rockets could provide in this one. So Draymond played a huge role in that in his 31 minutes. Plus, he's like the Thanos rings with just the various fouls he elected in this game. 5 personal fouls, a tech, a flagrant, and then a game-winning stop. It's like a perfect Draymond game.
I think he was missing a take foul. He was missing like a delay of game foul. Like he was missing. There's a couple more you could get if you want to get all the different ones. But man, that's so funny that he only hit two shots. It was the first 2 shots of the game, but he doesn't score the rest of the game. Basically, just what a unique player, and what a it's just embodies everything this Warriors run has been about. Is that Steph's doing his thing on one end, Draymond's doing his thing on the other, and they just hold the whole thing together kind of doesn't matter who's there. Like I'm watching the Heat tonight, and Andrew Wiggins just looks lost and doesn't look like he knows what he's doing out there. And you go, Andrew Wiggins was the second best player on a title team for the Warriors during that run. Like I don't know if that says more about about Andrew Wiggins himself, but I know it says a lot about this Warriors team. And Jimmy Butler comes in and fills that role. Speaking of Andrew Wiggins, got traded for him, and man, 20 points. Or no, he finished with 27 points, 40 minutes after not playing in game 3. Got some crucial rebounds and got some 6 assists as well. Jimmy Butler was just, nails, and it was playoff Jimmy again. Did it feel familiar, Camille?
Very. I'm so glad he's not in the East anymore, Nick. Let me tell you, that's y'all problem over there in the West now. But
enough problems.
Big game from Jimmy Butler. I'm so glad that his last rebound was highlighted, because everyone is going to point, of course, to the defense that Draymond was playing on Sengun for that last shot attempt there, but Jimmy flew in over like 4 different Rockets players to secure that rebound and actually in that possession for the Warriors. So like just a big game from him, a gutsy win from the Warriors and from Jimmy Butler with the injury that he was dealing with, because even on the last shot that he attempted when he got those last 3 free throws, you could see him wincing in pain, but he was out there giving his all. 12 of 12 from the free throw line. And that's the part of Jimmy Butler's game in particular that I thought was going to be such a perfect fit for this Warriors team, his ability to draw fouls. In a game like this where Steph Curry is held to 17 points, you need other guys to step up. Jimmy Butler is one of those guys who's able to do it in large part by his ability to attack the basket, get to the free throw line, and convert there. And on the Rocket side, they needed to convert far more free throws than what they were able to in this one. 19 of 31 from the free throw line in a game where they lost by 3. That's tough.
It's tough. Let's hear from Jackson Gatlin, Locked On Rockets. If you listened to the squad show a couple weeks ago, the West squad show, Jackson is down bad right now.
Must win game 4. The Houston Rockets fall to the Golden State Warriors 109-106. What's up? This is Jackson Gatlin, host of Locked On Rockets. Just a brutal loss for the Houston Rockets. They needed this game. Now you go down 3-1 to the Warriors. And look, this was a game that the Rockets started off just absolutely awful, but they actually rallied back. They led by 7 at halftime, 57-50, and then they let the Warriors go on an 18-1 run to start the third quarter. Rockets were able to claw back into it. They only trailed by 2 going into the fourth, and then they made it a game in the fourth quarter. They were actually tied up 104 all with just under a minute to play before Dillon Brooks commits a ridiculous 3-point foul on Jimmy Butler. He gets 3 points gift wrapped to him at the charity stripe. And look, this was a game where the Rockets got some amazing contributions from Fred VanVleet, 25 points, 8 made threes. Alperen Sengun put the team on his back, 31, 10, and 5 night for him. Had the potential game winner over Draymond Green on the final offensive possession of the game for the Rockets and just could not get it done, unfortunately. Amin Thompson was fantastic in that fourth quarter, had some great defensive possessions on Steph Curry throughout the game, but Jalen Green completely disappointed yet again in this series. 8 points on just 3 of 8 shooting to go with 5 turnovers. He was the weak link for the Rockets in this game. And now the series shifts back to Houston, where it's win or go home for the rest of the series.
This Rockets team is so unique in today's NBA. We talked about Draymond being a unique player in 2025. This Rockets team is unique in that they had a worse half-court offense than the Jazz throughout the season, and yet were the 12th best offense in the season and one of the top 5 defenses. They're really good at certain things, and some of those things are not playoff things. And so this game felt like Barnum and Bailey, like a freak show in a way where you have Amin Thompson, who they're not guarding, but he can do a bunch of stuff and he gets 17 points and he has some moments. Obviously, you have Dillon Brooks, who's just like trying to get everybody kicked out of the game, doing random stuff here and there. You had Fred VanVleet, who's just chucking threes in the half court because that's the only way they can generate offense. Sometime you have Jalen Green, who got lost a couple times on some backdoor cuts in the playoffs, and you have Sengun, who's doing his thing. And I felt like he was the only one playing basketball at the time. Then you bring in Steven Adams, and Steven Adams actually had a really impactful game in this one. But man, it just felt like there was just stuff going all over the place, and it wasn't cohesive or together at all.
It feels like a wasted effort when Fred VanVleet can go 8 of 12 from the 3-point line and you can't find a way to win that game. Like, that feels like one that you really want back. Jalen Green's performance outside of the one game that the Rockets have won in this series just hasn't been good enough. I mentioned the free throw shooting for the Rockets. You add that in the fact with they just didn't really seem to have a go-to guy. Like Sengun for large stretches was that guy. Amen Thompson might be able to grow into that guy, but that's the biggest glaring thing I watched with the Rockets. And part of why I couldn't pick them in the series was just when the game slows down, you get into your half-court offense, you need a bucket. Who are you going to go to? Jalen Green could be that guy at stretches, but hasn't proved to be able to really have that role consistently. So shout out to Sengun, shout out to VanVleet. For what they were able to do trying to carry the offense, and Steven Adams for defense. But again, make your free throws, guys. Make free throws, and we could be having a whole different conversation.
And like, it's not like anybody missed like 5 or 6. It's like Sengun missed 3, Jalen missed 2, you know, Tari missed, like the bench guys all missed 1. And I want to kind of be fair to the Rockets in a way. They were about to win this game with Sengun making that shot. Like, that's how good they are at certain areas of the game, how good Fred VanVleet did tonight, how good Sengun was in this game. And Steph Curry got away with one tonight. He absolutely got away with one of the 17 points, and it just shows that bringing in Jimmy Butler was absolutely the right move. And they waited for the right star. They could have done the Larry Markkinen trade. They could have done, you know, a bunch of other trades that they said, oh, we were almost going to do that, and they ended up getting the right guy in Jimmy, and that ended up being the difference.
It did. And also shout out to Brandon Podziemski in this game as well, because he was somebody who was making a lot of timely shots for the Warriors down the stretch. And again, they needed someone else to help with that offensive load, given how well the Rockets were defending Steph Curry throughout this game. They made it very difficult for Steph, but here comes Pods knocking down those open shots with all the attention that other guys are getting, and him being able to convert, as well as Buddy Hield knocking down some timely threes at points throughout this game. Like, it was a team effort for this squad to pull out this victory. Defense from some key guys, offense from some guys who you might not expect at times. But, man, this has been a fun series. I'm kind of mad it's 3-1 because it feels like it's almost over. But
I know.
A fun series.
Also, I think shout out to Buddy Hield, who had a really good sequence to end this one where he takes he has to defend Sengun with this is like 3 minutes and 40 seconds left. He has to defend Sengun, and Sengun ends up missing the shot. And then at the other end, hits a 3 against him because Sengun is cross match against him and had to defend him on the other side in transition. Hits a 3, and that gave the Warriors a lead, that first lead in the fourth quarter. I thought that was a really good moment. And then he takes a really dumb spin fadeaway two minutes later. But if I told you that the Warriors guard, the starting backcourt, one of them had 26 points with 6 made threes, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. The other one had 17 points. And only took 13 shots. you would never have guessed which one was which, basically, in this game.
Exactly, which is why it's like, shout out to Pod. Shout out to him for the game that he had, because they needed that production from their backcourt. Because normally, especially before the Jimmy Butler trade, if there was a game where Steph had this type of output, they wouldn't win a game like this. But it shows, again, how important this trade deadline was to this team and how it made a lot of roles on this team make sense.
With Draymond in foul trouble, and they had to pull Trace Jackson-Davis off the deep bench. Yeah. And they didn't play Kuminga again. They benched Kuminga again and decided to do that. Played Guy Santos, a minute and a half. Kevon Looney, only 5. Kerr is he's just throwing guys out there and then pulling them right back as quick as they can, basically just giving these guys some rest. Something maybe JJ Redick could learn from. Coming up, let's get into 1-2-3 Miami Beach for the Heat. They're done. The Cavs move on. What do we learn, if anything, from this one? We'll talk about that. Locked On NBA Game Night continues. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by Monarch Money. If you're somebody that is trying to allocate, if you're like a coach trying to allocate minutes and you're like, I don't know who to give minutes to, I'm just going to throw a minute 30 here. I'm going to throw 40 minutes over here, and I'm going to play this guy and this guy. If you're like Steve Kerr, if you're managing your money like Steve Kerr manages minutes, you're going to need Monarch Money to try and figure out how to deal with all that stuff and get it all where it needs to go. Monarch Money is not just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. Track all your accounts, investments, spending all in one place, so you don't just manage your money, you build wealth. That's where it starts. Starts to manage your money, and then you build wealth on top of that. That's how you get going and get moving. It's easy to collaborate as well. You can add other people to your account. It's all in one. I love the convenience of it. I love that you can have everything in one place. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year at monarchmoney.com. Promo code LOCKEDONNBA. Thanks for hanging out with us on the Locked On NBA Game Night. We have a daily show that covers your favorite team. You heard from Locked On Warriors, heard from Locked On Rockets. I host Locked On Mavericks still. And Camille, you host Locked On Bucks, which I think I have to say in the same tone now.
Probably.
Locked On Mavs. We'll talk about them a little later and count it up. But let's talk about the Cavs and the Heat. Let's start. I'm going to start with the Heat side of this because the Heat are done. And the Heat looked more done than any team we've seen this season. After fighting their way through the play-in to get to the NBA, the first 10 seed to ever make it to the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And this is how they represent the 10 seeds in NBA history. Let's hear from David Ramil. I think he's going to shoot it straight on Locked On Heat.
The game itself doesn't really matter because the outcome was never really in doubt. It was clear that
you can't start with the game. The playoff game. The game didn't really matter.
Run that one back.
Game doesn't matter. It's a playoff game.
Miami was incredibly outclassed from the beginning of the series, and the Cavaliers just seemed to get better with every game, as evidenced by Monday's 138-83 drubbing to end Miami's exhausting season. But it was surprising just how completely the Heat fell apart after being competitive in the first two games of the season. And I considered just laughing for a minute straight to summarize tonight's outcome. Instead, like the Heat, I'm just too emotionally drained watching this team go through the turmoil of the Jimmy Butler trade and the false hope built up after a 6-game win streak late in the season and a solid showing in the play-in tournament. But these were just mirages. And the truth is that the team was never really very good and has simply overachieved for years. If there's any hope for Miami fans, it's that being beat mercilessly by a true title contender like Cleveland shows just how far the Heat really are from true contention, and that trading everyone, including all-stars Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero, should be on the table in order for this team to improve. There are no easy fixes, and not a singular move for Kevin Durant or any one superstar can fix this team. They're simply not good enough. The intriguing story of this offseason is just how completely Pat Riley and a beleaguered front office are willing to clean house in order to make the changes that are painfully and clearly necessary. For more on tonight's game and a pivotal offseason, make sure to check out Locked On Heat.
Sheesh.
Ooh. So Wes Goldberg, the other host of Locked On Heat, tweeted, he said, I asked Bam what needs to change this summer after 2 straight seasons of first-round playoff exits, and Bam said this: there are going to be a lot of changes this summer, knowing how the guy with the silver hair works. Be prepared for that.
The guy with the silver hair, he ain't wrong. And listen, all we needed before for that Heat short that we just heard, we needed to have like the ether beat behind that, because he loaded the clip on what we saw from the Miami Heat tonight, which was one of the most disheartening quitting I've seen. And the crazy thing is, Nick, I don't even think this started in this game here. I felt like in game 3, the Cavs punched them in the mouth to end that first quarter because the Heat were playing well. And then the Cavs punched them in the mouth, took their chain. They had like a 27-5 run to close the first quarter in game 3 and ran off with game 3. Then game 4 was pretty much like them coming back to take their lunch money and they bike. Like, it was just like, we are taking everything you got in the Miami Heat. We're just kind of like, here you go. You can have it.
Tyler Hero, their all-star, went 1 for 10 on the night.
Not good enough.
He did not follow the Dion Waiters rule of if you're gonna shoot 10 shots and miss all of them, you might as well take 20 shots. You gotta keep shooting. That's the Dion Waiters rule. I'm just gonna share some stats in this game because I mean, what else is there to say? The Heat are done and they're done. I think Ramil is right. I don't know about trading Bam. I think I would still keep some of the pieces you can still build around and do some stuff with, but there's not a quick fix for this team. I don't know that they're a group of they may be a group of role players in need of like one superstar player, but that player is like a Luka Doncic or a Nikola Jokic. It's like, if only we could get a top 5 player in the NBA, maybe this team is good. Okay, that doesn't happen very often. Maybe Miami has aspiration for that, but man, for David also to say they overachieved for years.
Yeah,
that sounded like a negative thing, even though it had been a positive for them for so long.
Mm-hmm. And again, it shows what Jimmy Butler was able to really do with this team year in and year out. Playoff Jimmy has been a real thing for the Miami Heat. he seemingly was the person who was really embodying Heat culture, because where was Heat culture at tonight with the effort that they put out there? They didn't like the meanest, the toughest, the most well-conditioned. I didn't see any of that. And they were at home. It's like you got embarrassed in game 3, losing by 37 points, just to lose worse in game 4, to lose by 55. They lucky they didn't lose by 60 in garbage time when they hit a couple shots down the stretch to avoid being like the worst loss in playoff history of the entire league.
I've got some stats for you. 55 points, the fourth largest margin of victory in the NBA playoffs. It's the second one since 1973. There's only the 58-point win for Denver over New Orleans back in 2009. So it's the largest one in the last like 20 years, basically. The Cavs outscored the Heat by a combined 122 points over the 4-game sweep, the largest point differential in NBA history. Cavs had a franchise playoff record for points in a game with 138 tonight, according to Elias Sports. Heat are the first team in NBA history to lose back-to-back games by 30 or more points in the playoffs. Never happened before. 30. It was the worst halftime point differential in playoff history. Oh, third worst. 41 was Boston against the Cavs in game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. That was the when Isaiah Thomas left the game with a hip injury. 40 points, Washington at Detroit. It was Moses Malone on the Washington Bullets against the Bad Boy Pistons. And then 39 was this one. So it was the third one. But man, just like all across the board, it was a 1-2-3 Cancun. Like, was this the greatest 1-2-3 Cancun in NBA history?
Has to be. And they were already in Miami, so they didn't have to go anywhere.
They're as close as they could be.
Exactly. Like, they're just like, you know what? We're just gonna go right to live after this game closed. We right there. We are here.
Wild. The Cavs are here now. We haven't talked a lot about the Cavs because they got some time now. I heard Kenny Atkins after the game go, we did our work early like we've done all year, and now we get to take advantage of it. Let's hear from Danny Cunningham of Locked On Cavs.
Danny Cunningham here at the Kaseya Center in Miami after the Cavs beat the Miami Heat 138-83 to complete the 4-game sweep. Let's talk about this one for 94 feet. The Miami Heat quit in this game. The Cavs made them quit. The first possession of this game, Miami won the opening tip. Jarrett Allen then picked off a pass intended for Khalil Ware, ran down to the other end, dunked with his right hand. Tyler Hero hit a 3 a couple possessions later, gave Miami a 3-2 lead. After that, it was all Cavs. They won the first quarter, 43-17. They led by as many as 60 points in this game. This margin of victory, which was, let me check my notes here, 55 points, the largest margin of victory in an elimination game in NBA history. The Cavs finished the sweep, the largest margin of victory in a 4-game sweep in NBA history. This was an absolutely dominant trip to Miami, games 3 and 4. Darius Garland didn't play again tonight because of the toe injury. Didn't matter. The Cavs won the 2 games here in Miami by a combined 92 points. So they finish off the sweep. They now await the winner of the Indiana Pacers and Milwaukee Bucks in the Eastern Conference semifinals. Game 1 will be sometime, I don't know, in Cleveland, and I'll talk to you then.
Your Bucks may face the Cavs.
It's a big May, but they may, possibly.
Now that you have an up close personal look at this Pacers team for like the 8th time in the last couple of years, what do you think about their chances against the Cavs potentially?
This Cavs team is dominant. They don't have many weaknesses across the board here. The jump that Mobley has taken this season has been really real for this team. The way they utilize him on defense, as well as his ability to play make a little bit for this team. The way that at this point Spida just plays so in control with his game, change of pace, Garland's ability to come through in clutch moments. The role players make sense on this Cleveland team. Like, Cleveland is really, really good. This is not a mirage. This is not a fluke. This is a Cleveland team that finished the Eastern Conference first for a reason. And honestly, whoever comes out of this Bucks-Pacers series, they're going to run into a buzzsaw. And I probably would go with Cleveland in that series, regardless of which one of those 2 teams comes out.
I have one gripe on the Cavs.
What's that?
4 minutes, 30 seconds left in the third quarter. The Cavs are up by 45. It's been a dominant game all game. And Kenny Atkinson challenges a play. There's got to be some kind of cap to, like, if you're up by 30 or more or something like that, you cannot challenge a play. Like, let's just keep it moving. Like, really? Like, no, the Heat obviously don't want to be here. So many people don't want to be here. We're challenging a play up 45. Like, I couldn't.
You're right. I'm with you on that one. I was shocked that he actually challenged that. Like, what are we doing?
It's got to be. It was like he just did that. I think he did that as a favor for whoever the player was. Like, there was a player obviously calling for it, and I think he just did it as a favor to the player. But I was like, really, up 45 for a challenge a play that like gave him possession?
You got to point to the scoreboard and be like, come on, man, like, come on.
Coming up, it's counted up. We count on the most interesting things in the NBA. I'm not going to say fun because it's not fun. We're going to talk about the Bucks. What do the Bucks do? Got Camille here. Let's talk about that and more coming up. Locked on NBA Game Night. This episode of Locked on NBA Game Night is brought to you by Wayfair. They got just what you need. If what you need is new furniture, if you need rugs, if you need all kinds of different things. I got an email. I literally got an email from Wayfair today that I opened because it said 80% off area rugs and all kinds of things. And I was like, oh, I kind of need an area rug. So I went and I checked Wayfair. That's what is so great about it. You can update, your home, do all kinds of stuff with Wayfair. I've used Wayfair before. Free and fast shipping, super easy. It sends it straight to your door. You don't have to go somewhere. Like, when you go to some of those stores, you have to pack it in your car. My car is not big enough to carry some of these things around. And Wayfair will send it right to your house. That's awesome. Wayfair makes home improvement easy. Get started now. Wayfair.com. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home.
Big chicken, baby. Zion Williams and porn star.
Take that for that.
Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up.
It's Counted Up. We count out the most interesting things in the NBA. And this week, it's Damian Lillard and the talk about the Bucks and all that. And Damian Lillard is officially diagnosed with a torn left Achilles tendon. Sources tell ESPN MRI today revealed the severity, a devastating end to his season. Camille, the response for the Bucks has been what in that game? And then what do you think it will be going forward? And let's just start with this series.
I mean, for the Bucks, you just got to take it one game at a time. You can't focus on the fact that you now need to win 3 straight games. You have to just look at each game as they come. And for this Bucks team execution, I've been pointing to that. Like, there's a do better button. The Bucks needed to push that quite a few times of just how they've been playing in these games. But losing Dame is a blow. And it's weird how it feels, how much that has changed the momentum in this series, given that coming into the series, I was saying, like, I'm not expecting Dame to play at all in this series. Then he comes back, right, and we're now in a position of like, now we have to figure out a way to win without Dame again. The Bucks are in a tough spot, not only in this series, but just going forward, because an Achilles injury, that recovery time is going to have Dame out for most, if not all, of next season.
My next question is going to be, how cooked are the Bucks next season?
Whew. Unless John Horst can have himself a very special summer. It's going to be tough for the Bucks, even if Giannis is on the squad, because of just what's going on in the East. It's a lot of parity in the league. We just talked about how Cleveland has been so dominant. You have the Pacers, you have the Celtics, who we haven't even mentioned. The Knicks, like the Magic, are coming if they can figure out 3-point shooting at some point in their roster building. But like, there are some really good teams coming up in the East right now. So for the Bucks, they're going to have one of those types of summers that you're just kind of like, some sneakily good moves here down the stretch for them, because otherwise they're going to kind of just get passed by other teams in the East.
Give me like a 50-50, or what's your percentage that Giannis is still on this team to start next season?
Count it up.
If I had to give you a percentage right now, I honestly would say like 75-80%. I don't think
he's not on the team.
That he is on the team.
Okay.
Like 80% that he is on the team. I think a lot of the conversation around Giannis, it's been happening for years. Every single year, there is some type of story about, this team should go try to acquire Giannis, and this team should try to acquire Giannis. So unless Giannis comes out himself and says, I want out of here, the Bucks continue operating as is. Last we heard a couple of days ago from Windhorst was, Giannis, there's been no actual word from Giannis that he wants out. He seems happy in Milwaukee. So as long as that remains the case, the Bucks should be in good shape. And honestly, I think them re-signing John Horst helps with that, because John Horst is somebody who has been with this franchise since Giannis came aboard. So that relationship there is really important.
Hasn't there been these Giannis like kind of veiled threats to leave though, or like I'll stay here if we keep winning kind of thing? Hasn't he kind of dropped those over the last couple of years though?
Yeah, and I don't ever look at those as veiled threats, but more so of the understanding that we have here in Milwaukee, which Giannis has said from the beginning of, I want to win. You put a team around me that I feel can compete, and I am happy. I just don't want to be in a situation where we're like rebuilding or it's a situation where we're giving up. So Horst has limited assets in the cabinet this summer to try to make some things happen. But if he can get Giannis's buy-in on what they're trying to build around him in this new era of Bucks basketball, because I think a lot of familiar faces from that championship team could be gone that we've gotten used to seeing in Milwaukee around Giannis, such as the Brook Lopez's, your Pat Connaughtons, even maybe Bobby Portis this summer. So like that team building around him is going to be really important. But as long as they can construct something that feels like it can compete, I think Giannis is cool here.
Last one that is Bucks adjacent but not related. Tyrese Halliburton was in an interview recently with his girlfriend was also there, and he said that his girlfriend sends him Centel posts every day, the NBA Centel account that is like the fake news NBA account that just makes jokes. My question is, has anybody in your life sent you a Centel post that they thought was real? Because that has absolutely happened to me.
No, actually, I haven't gotten any from anybody who thought it was real. Like, oh man, look at this. Like normally I think the people who would go to Centel to send me something expect me to send them something first. So if I don't, they just kind of go, oh, well, it's probably not real.
One of them was, I think there was a Mavs one recently where it was like the Mavs are preemptively kicking people out of the arena that they think could start Fire Nico chants. It was like something like that happened. But I saw one on there that was the Bucks are reportedly considering legal action against Kyle Kuzma for a breach of basketball expectations per sources.
I did see that one, which made me laugh.
Like almost close enough to be true, which is like the Centel like secret sauce. I just thought that was funny that Halliburton was like, she sends me those every day. He said literally she sends him one every day.
That's her love language. She's like, oh, I know this is his job, so like I'm gonna do this real quick, you know. It's like when I see Star Wars stuff I send to my husband, like, I know you like this. I don't understand exactly what this is saying, but I know this is in your bag. So like here.
You can run it by me and I'll tell you if it's fake or not.
I'm gonna start doing it.
If it's Star Wars, for
so
sure.
I can start looking even smarter to my husband because I'm tired of being called a loser at home when I get that stuff wrong.
May the 4th be with you, Camille.
Right.
It's coming up. It's coming up. It's going to be a big day for it. Go check out all the great shows on all the channels covering all these great playoff teams and even the ones that are not in the playoffs. We still are doing shows over here. The Mavs, we're doing shows daily. Bucks, even if they get knocked out, we'll be still doing shows daily over at Locked On Bucks. We have the playoffs. We got the lottery. We've got the draft. We've got all kinds of stuff like that. So go check it out. Guys, thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA Game Night. Now go check out Doug, Matt, and Hayes on the Daily Show for Locked On NBA on this very feed, wherever you are. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On NBA Game Night.